Honey Boo Boo.
Honey Boo Boo. That's like there we go. Okay, so let's reverse the joke. Let's ready and we're back to where we were 5 seconds ago. It's not my fault. His wife's Honey Boo Boo child. Uh,
Hello, and thank you very much for downloading this most recent episode of Movie Guys Podcast. You can download many more episodes at movieguyspodcast.podbean.com.
Never in a million years have I ever heard of this story of this Indian Reserve being taken over by white guys. I've never heard of this story before. Have you ever heard of this? Today we're talking about the killer of the flower moon or
Killers of the Flower Moon, yes.
killers of the flower moon. Eric, how the hell you doing?
I don't think I've ever heard of this story either, but at the same part, the idea of the white man screwing over the Native Americans is not a new story to me either. I
No,
learned about it in school, learned about it in probably many other movies. Last of the Mohicans
oh,
is a good
yes,
one
sir.
that pops up, right? It's yeah, it's one of
That's the thing.
those white guilt movies, right? Where you're just like, oh, geez, it was just certain times were certainly different back then.
Nah, I don't have any white guilt with it. I'm just saying. I mean, like, I never heard of this story before, and I knew this movie was coming out. We were not going to go see this in theaters. We were going to see this in theaters. What I'm trying to say, but then I and you discovered that it's 3.5 hours, and we do not have 3.5 hours of our busy days as husbands and fathers to sit in a theater for 3.5. Thank God I did. It took me 3 days to watch this movie. It's
What
on
is
Apple
Martin
Plus.
Scorsese doing, man? This is his. He likes making these long epics now.
Yeah, well, any director at this age would, right? I mean, like Tarantino has gone the distance now. How long was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
He had to cut that down to 2.5, I think, right?
Right. Fincher's doing a lot of longer ones. Spielberg did that later in his career too, right? This is their thing where they just are untouchable. They're Tom Brady, if you
Hell,
will,
we
in
got
their
the 4 hour
industry.
Snyder cut too of Justice League,
Right.
right?
Right. I mean, I just it's annoying. The last time that you and I reviewed this is a while ago. Last time you and I reviewed Scorsese was with Ryan. We did The Irishman
Oh yes,
during the beginning of the pandemic.
yeah. I will say that as much as the runtime does really turn me off from watching it, a lot of people were saying that you said what, like 4 times. I've had a few other
3 days.
yeah,
Yeah.
a few other friends say that they broke it up a little bit too, and I had the exact same plan where I was going to break this up into probably different parts or episodes. I ended up killing this thing in 2 days, watching it in two sittings. I was really interested in this movie.
I was interested in it too, and I'm just gonna go ahead and just rat ourselves out. It was very hard because I gave you my Apple Plus login, and I watched for a day, and I logged in the next day, and I was not where I left off. You were watching wherever you were watching. I was like, "Oh no, did that happen to you?"
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
because yeah, Sarah tried to watch it as well too, and so we were trying to jumping around, and obviously we don't have different profiles, so we can't take advantage of it like other streaming platforms. But
right.
yeah,
Yeah, no, it was a pain in the butt, but it's fine, right? So yeah, we're reviewing it now. Scorsese's new film, his sixth movie with DiCaprio. Can you name without looking up? Because I can. Can you name in order the films that Leo and Scorsese has done?
in order,
Yeah,
uh,
without.
Departed.
No, that's not it. No,
That's not the first one.
no.
I don't know then.
Okay, you
Oh,
want to look it up?
Gangs of New York.
Gangs of New York.
Departed.
No.
Um, Gangs of New York 2.
You want to look it up and I'll tell you, or just for the sake of the argument?
Yeah, yeah, I'll pull it up here in a
Okay.
second.
Yeah, let me know when you're ready because I'm actually a big fan of these two together, right? I mean, like I do enjoy some of their work.
They do a pretty good job, I will say, of
Yeah.
course. Here we go. Ah,
All right, okay, here we go.
yeah,
Okay, ready? Tell me
I
if I'm
see him
right.
now.
Tell me
Yeah.
if I'm right, okay? So, Gangs of New York,
Yes.
Aviator,
Yes.
third one, third one. Shoot, I'm going to say Departed.
Departed.
That's three. Four would be Shutter Island.
Yep.
Five. Oh shoot, I don't know. Five. Is this five?
Nope.
Oh, this isn't five. Okay, I got bad on 5. What's 5?
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street. That's right. And then now this. Yeah. Okay.
Yep,
I
and
actually
then
like
this one.
I actually like the earlier works. I kind of like Gangs and Avatar, Aviator. Uh, Gangs I like. It's one of my top 50.
Yeah, yes and no. As much as I liked gangs, I've had dreams about gangs in New York. Actually, just that whole time of life of like Tammany Hall and just historically is just fascinating to me. I've
Right.
always been drawn to that sort of just mud in the streets and just woodhouse living kind of a thing. I loved it.
Right.
State Fair kind of. It's a beautiful like where it's like the dawn of the new industry. You know
Right.
the
It's like the old is still there, but
yeah, but the new
but
is
the
coming.
yeah, Bill the Butcher is amazing. But
Yeah, kind of like
yep,
that
and
the steampunk age a little bit. Yeah, but with that movie, it's Cameron Diaz ruined it for me in that movie.
yeah, she was horrible in the red wig. But today we're talking about Killers of the Flower Moon. This is the 6th time that Scorsese and Leo have joined forces. There's a lot of big names in this movie. One I texted you when I watched the third part, if you will. So, yeah,
Ooh,
I don't know.
do you know how many this is with De Niro?
Raging Bull, Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, Taxi Driver, Goodfellas,
Okay, yes.
Casino. He didn't
Yeah.
do anything for quite some time. He did Irishman next, then, right? No, no, no. Cape Fear,
Yep, Cape Fear.
Counselor. Um,
You got them
and
out
then
they're out of order, but yeah, it's fine.
yeah, and then Irishman, right? I mean, it took a long time, right?
It's 10 films. This is his 10th.
10.
You're
Okay.
missing what Mean Streets, New
Did he
York,
do
New
Mean Street?
York,
Okay.
King of Comedy.
Oh yeah, which everybody compared to the new Joker to. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, which is basically the same, right? Hey, you think Robert De Niro was in the Joker?
He was in the Joker, ironically. Yes.
Anyway,
Scorsese directed Meet the Parents. No, I'm joking. It'd be kind of funny if he did. So yeah, I mean, like we have a lot of great names. People are calling Oscar buzz. I knew nothing about the story, so what I did was I cheated. So I didn't read the plot. I'm very famous for reading the plot of the movie, right?
yep.
But what I did was I wikied the movie and I clicked on the actual real person, Ernest, that Leo was playing.
Yep.
And I read the actual story about what really happened. And then I watched the movie because I was
Which,
curious what happened.
by the way, anyone listening to this, if you want to save yourself 3.5 hours, you can just read the synopsis. You basically get it.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to argue about with you before we talk about the big highlights and low points of the movie. But this movie does not need to be 3.5 hours long. There's a lot of stupid choices that Scorsese does, or I've said it before, artistic douchebaggery.
He
Where it's
bounces
just
around a lot.
yeah. There's no. This movie could have seriously been an hour and a half, maybe 2. I mean, there's no. It's a very simple story,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not saying that the events in real life, people that are listening, don't tear my head off. I'm saying this is a movie. So,
Well,
you
that
know,
that 3.5 hour build is like because the first 2 hours is building, and
right.
it's
Yeah.
tension building as well too because you're following the villains the entire time of this movie.
Yeah, you basically follow the villains, yeah. Which is famous for Scorsese.
Yeah, of course, and it's tough to it's a slow, extremely slow burn, and it's tough to follow. So, or not to follow, but it's tough not to want to fast forward to the end because you get this extreme case of like justice porn, right? Where you just
Yeah.
cannot wait for these guys to get it at the end.
Right.
Justice will prevail, and there's going to be a happy ending. But
So I want to
yeah,
I want to talk about it, right? So I don't want to
let's
go
talk about
scene
it.
by scene, right? But I just want to tell you what the overall story is as a whole, and we kind of break it down. So please correct me if I'm wrong. This is Jordan's point of view, and everybody knows who are fans. My point of views are very interesting. But what happens, not in just movie, but also in real life, was that this group of Native Americans, the Osage,
The Osage,
Osage,
the Osage
in
Nation.
real life and in this movie, that's the last time I'm going to say it. They struck gold. They struck oil, and
Texas
they
tea.
and this family, this Osage family tribe became wealthy because they struck oil. But then all of a sudden, this boomtown was built because of the oil, and Robert De Niro, whoever that guy's name is in real life, William something,
Kane,
uh,
right?
came. He was like, "Hey, I have an idea. This is Native American land, so
Oh,
we got
Hale.
to get
Hale. I'm sorry. William K.
Hale.
Hale.
Hale. What we got to do is we got to get all the white men to marry all the Native American women and slowly poison them because they all have diabetes to where everything gets transferred to our name. Not a very bad plan. That's a very good girl on the tracks twirling mustache plan. Like that's a kind of a sneaky plan. But it fails after the third white guy, his wife, dies from the same exact thing.
It's
Right? The
y-
FBI kind of figured it out pretty quickly.
oh yeah, yeah.
So it's like not a very good plan.
I again, when you run the town and you're basically the sheriff and you kind of just know, or he calls himself that, and you just have everyone in your pocket and you're that political type of boss, it
Right.
just kind of happens. I Yeah, there may be where the white guilt kind of kicks in a little bit because I do believe at one point in the movie they had said that it would be easier to convict a white man, for kicking a dog than it would be for killing an Indian.
Yeah, they did say that. They did say that. Also, too, did you notice too that the KKK was in the parade?
Yeah, and that Ernest kind of knew him too as well.
Right. So let's talk about these characters, right? Not necessarily the real people. Let's talk about the characters. I asked you a question because you haven't seen it yet. First of all, is Leonardo DiCaprio playing simple? Like not simple Jack simple, but is he playing dim-witted, or is this because those dentures, like those oh um oh shoot, Godfather,
What the?
Marlon Brando dentures? That's what it looked like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I
Was he
think
playing simple? Was it the dentures? Like what? Or am I silly?
no, I think it's just the character. I think you're right that he's not, that these people aren't the brightest,
Oh yeah,
right?
well De Niro, yeah, De Niro thought he was, but yeah, he's pretty dumb.
I would think, of the most part, that he had it all going for him and he knew how to play the system. Uh, De Niro did a King. That's where I got confused. King, because everyone called him King, right?
Hmm.
Where he did know, and he was probably the smartest. He was the maestro. He was orchestrating everything, and the plan
Hmm.
was basically going very well. The only person that actually screwed it all up was probably Ernest, because if Ernest at the end had stuck to the story, stuck to the script that King had laid out for him, they probably would have gotten away with it.
Well, they did, right? Because we find out later what we're talking about what happens to him. But I don't think, yeah, I mean, like, sure, I will agree with you. Ernest was the one that ruined the plan for him because he was the only guy that I think generally loved his husband. I loved his wife. I think every other guy that married their wife didn't actually care. I think they were like, "Yes, sir." Whatever you sing, yeah, whatever you say, De Niro, you bow down to you. Because didn't one guy's wife died and then 3 weeks later he married another one or something?
Yeah, Bill Smith was the guy's name, and Minnie died, and 2 weeks later he married her sister Rita.
Right, who was a sister of Molly, who was Ernest's wife.
Yeah,
Ernest is
one of the four
wow,
sisters.
right. Okay, so Robert De Niro's plan is there are these four sisters, so he needs these four guys, or just in general, to marry these women and somehow convince people that they all have diabetes and they're going to give them insulin, but they're going to mix poison into the insulin and kill them slowly.
They did have diabetes because they were eating too much of the white man food.
Oh, they
And
actually did have diabetes?
yeah, I did a little some research on this too, and this was very common because a lot of times as well too, you would think that, well, if the Osage knew all this, why even marry the white man in the first place? And
Right.
a big part of it that they not necessarily glossed over, but maybe didn't go too much into explanation of was the guardianship. That at this time, even though that the Osage had all this money, they needed basically a white guardian to be able to act as the person to get their money. They were unable to just walk into the bank and be like, "Hi, you know how that's all my money? I'd like to withdraw some." They would go, "Whoa, whoa, wait a minute. We can't just give you your money now. It's we have to give us a reason." So that's why oftentimes you would have the Osage or the person, the family member going in there to have a valid reason, like we saw with Molly, or who was it, Henry Roan, the kind of the man Indian that was best friends with King. As
Hmm.
he was driving in, and Ernest had said, "Whose land is this?" He goes, "It's my land," and it's because King was his guardian, was his sponsor there. So the Indians could not touch any of their money without a white guardian. And just easier just to marry if you're one of the women.
It sounds like slavery back in the day, but not. If you
Yep,
know what I'm trying to say, like,
that's exactly what
um,
it is. But that's
uh,
just the white man law.
I'm surprised there wasn't a sign that said Native Americans this way. Um, so Ernest is a World War One vet, right? This
Yeah,
takes place from what 1919 and 19 to 1929, 1926, like a 10-year span.
yeah. Was he cook mess hall or something?
He was a cook for World War One. He comes back and he's a taxi driver for his uncle. And one of his first cab fares is Molly. A little thing, just because I watch YouTube all the time, but it's a stupid little throwaway. But I found it fun. The scene where he first drives Molly and she says something, and Leo turns around and says, "I don't know what you just said, but I think that's Injun for that's a handsome fellow," and she laughed. That was all genuine. That was not scripted. He just literally said that, and the actress thought that was hilarious.
I thought the
Uh,
actress who's nominated, by the way, they already released the nominations for the Oscars.
Is this her first role?
This is not her first role. Lily Gladstone is her name, but she is nominated, and I think she is a big deal because she is of Native American heritage, being nominated. And I think the last person to win was what, that one for Marlon Brando.
um,
But no,
yeah,
she's been in many other thing.
right. So I would like to say this movie's in two parts. I don't know if you and I are going to be in disagreements on this. The two parts, in my opinion, is you got that slow burn, right? You got that 2 hours of building up and building up. And then I would say the second half is when the neighbor's house explodes and things start to ramp up more, right? And the FBI comes in at that point. When the FBI comes in, I feel it's a different movie. And I actually enjoyed the FBI part through the end. I don't like the first part that much. Not because it's boring, it's because I just don't understand the director's choice of stalling this out for 2 hours.
The only
Like,
way
I mean,
that
how
I can think of is so you are kind of in the same feeling of the Osage, where it's just frustrating that you know what's happening. You clearly know what's happening, but
right,
there's just simply nothing you can do about it.
right. Yeah, I found it interesting that that Robert De Niro would take strong Osage guys and put insurance policies on them.
Yep, exactly. Well, that's the guardianship right there, right?
Right. And then he's like, this guy can't die. He's a melancholy, mela,
Melancholy, melancholic.
melancholic, melancholic. And I was like, oh, is that a Smashing Pumpkins album? You proud of me on that one?
Good one. It was a good
You
one,
like
bud.
that?
Yeah, I
Proud
like
of me
that.
on that
Yeah,
one?
that was
You
good.
like that? You like tonight. But he cannot die for 10 more months. I found that interesting.
Yeah, so he has to keep him alive, and yeah, just the way that that first introduction of the murders, where they were
Mm.
talking about like so and so, 29 died, no investigation. So and so died, no investigation. So and so suicide, no investigation. And it's just like, God, man, that is jarring.
Doesn't happen anymore now, does it, bud?
I hope not. And they also
Well,
made mention in this movie about the Tulsa massacre as well.
they did. They did talk about that. Yeah, just like Robert De Niro said that or something, right? Did you hear about what happened in Tulsa?
because it's basically of the same story almost, where just white people just trying to get some money, and if they can't have it, then they'll burn it.
Right. Would you ever watch the Watchmen show that started out in Tulsa? Anyway,
Yeah, no,
um,
it's a good series.
so it's very hard not to talk about the end just because of everything that happens in the movie leading up to the end. But okay, so how does this happen? So tell me if I get turned off on it. So Robert De Niro convinces uh Ernest, which is very easily convincing that man to do things, that he needs to court Molly. He needs to marry her.
I don't think necessarily he says her in particular. I think he lightly suggests that, hey, a good way for you to make it so you don't have to worry about a whole lot is if you marry an Indian woman and just take her money, basically. And then they go into a very little bit about how there's this kind of breed of these husbands, these white husbands who are lazy, right? They don't
Oh yeah.
they don't do any work. They just goof off. They drink all day. They're obviously going to like brothels or you know underground gambling and something like that too. And they're just using everyone else's money basically.
Right.
Just doing that. It's yeah, deadbeats.
Which a lot of these guys that marry these women are. And he does the one thing that the other men don't, right? In my opinion, he falls in love with her. He actually I will say that the acting that Leo does is really good. And the actress too that plays Molly, I believe that they actually did love each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I could tell that they loved each other to a certain degree. You know how two people are 80 years old, they've been married for like 40 years, 50 years, and they're just like, yeah, I hate you,
Well,
but I love you.
and that goes back to your comment earlier about how is Ernest or is Leonardo DiCaprio playing dim? And yeah, I think he's just one of those types of people where he doesn't really know a whole lot better. He respects this king guy. He's just going to go along with the word, and
Hmm.
that's the plan. And you can see like when it comes to the insulin part, like deep into the insulin part,
Hmm.
when he's helping her, that like he's just going along with it, but there's a few moments there where it really felt like he's like this is bad. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. As he takes the needle, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be. That's me at the casino as I go to the ATM. No, 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 stop.
Yeah,
Don't stop. We shouldn't be doing it. Boop boop boop.
yeah.
No, no.
Yeah, but you know what though? F him though, because like I believed him. You're like, I shouldn't be doing this. I don't know what's going on until like we see blatantly towards the middle of the movie where he puts the other poison vial into the actual mixes it with the insulin. I was like, that guy's done. He's a jerk. I don't believe him on anything.
And there's those little parts, those little details that Scorsese puts in there because the two brothers, the doctors who were in
Mhm.
on this whole thing too, because the whole town is really in on this plan, I would say for the most part. Maybe not the
Mhm.
whole town, but the majority of the town is in on this plan, right? Just to move into Fairbanks, take take the engine money and then leave. Or stay actually and kill them off because
Right.
their time on Earth has passed.
Mhm.
And there's a part where Ernest is, or they're telling him, all right, the whole vial, you got to put the whole vial in there. And we see clips of Ernest not putting the whole vial. He like leaving just just that little,
Little drops.
yeah, that little end at the, just putting it in his whiskey drink or kind of
Mhm.
just dumping it out or just not putting it altogether. So there is that guilty conscience that he does have. It
Still
just he
still
doesn't have
doing
the,
it
he's
though.
too much of a coward to do anything about it.
100%. That's a good word. He is a coward. Yeah, I mean, like he's gonna do whatever his uncle says. He even backtracks towards the end of the movie. We'll talk about that. But it's like, I mean, like, what makes this movie good is because I hate Ernest.
Yeah.
I like physically hate Ernest. Like if Ernest was in front of me, I'd smack him. You know what I mean? Like I
And his
hate
brother
him.
too. Like the whole uh, all those guys.
All those guys are bad. But the reason why that I hate Ernest, because we're supposed to follow Ernest. It's his story in this movie that we are following, him and Molly's, right? So he's the guy that you don't want to put the poison into the insulin, but he so just follows blindly to his uncle. Because I mean, like, is it because he knows his uncle does wax on other guys, like wax guys?
Yeah,
Is it
I think it's
because of
because
that? He's afraid
he's
he's gonna get
scared.
whacked?
Yeah, I think he's
Oh,
scared of. Well, not, is that what you're trying to say? That
he's
he's
scared he's gonna get killed. He's gonna get whacked. Yeah.
put him in a, yeah, because I think when you saw with Bill Smith, who really was on the side of the Osage, who really did seem, and here at first, Scorsese did a good job with this because at first it's like, so there's something off about this guy, how he goes
Right.
from one sister to the other, and it's like, well, geez, that guy's completely after the money,
Mhm.
and then you find out a little bit later, especially because they hire a private investigator, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
he comes in, and then you find out, oh, well, do you know that Bill Smith's doing his own investigation? Type of thing. Oh,
Mhm.
I did not know that. And he really does a good job. Scorsese does a good job misdirecting, because you think that this guy's up to no good, Bill Smith's up to no good, but then later on in the movie you find out, wait a minute, this guy actually, I think, is the only good guy. And
Right.
when they start to kind of reveal a little bit more that it was Ernest and his brother, the one that kind of beat the private investigator and got him out there, that they're the ones that did all the tasks to hire Blackie Thompson, to do all these killings and everything else to the Osage, and to eventually kill Bill Smith and Rita. That, yeah, he was the one person, maybe, in seeing that
Mhm.
being that good guy, being the person whose sides with the Osage is gonna get you blown up.
Yeah, I was completely shocked knowing that Bill, not shocked, but I guess shocked, enthralled. I don't know what the word would be, but like, yeah, just be like, oh my God, Bill is, oh wow, Ernest is doing this nonsense. Yeah. So what you were talking about, for people who may have seen the movie and don't know what we're talking about, who have not yet, is the Osage is starting to get frustrated with these murders. So they hire a private investigator, and Robert De Niro ain't gonna have any of that.
They first ask or get their money together to have one of the guys, I forgot what his name was, I can look it up here real
Go to
quick,
Washington.
to go to Washington D.C. to hire an investigator, to go to the Indian Council or something like that, and
Yeah.
to hire them private investigator to come back. And then we see that guy, a white guy, that he gets killed.
Yeah, right. So like, doesn't he like go somewhere? Somebody gives him a warning, like, "Hey, you better watch your back. Something's gonna happen." As soon as he walks out, like, just murder in the street.
Cold blood, man. Whew.
Where it's just there's some interesting murders in this. Can I tell you one that actually kind of breaks my heart? Because I thought it was done very well. Was it Blackie Thompson, or was it somebody else that was supposed to befriend the Native American that was supposed to live for 10 months?
Yeah, yeah. Henry Roan was the Indian, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. It was not Blackie Thompson. It was one of the other distillers, or the
Right.
moonshiners. Excuse me.
He befriended him. Like his mission was to kill him, and these guys were friends. They went to brothels, they went to casinos, if you will. They were drinking buddies. Not great. I mean, that's not a good idea, right? But these guys were drinking buddies. They were friends.
Yeah,
And and what made it
John
heartbreak
Ramsey was his name.
was for me, what made it heartbreaking is that John liked him so much that he knew he still needed to kill him, but he forgot that it was supposed to look like a suicide. And I'm sorry, a suicide's not shooting at the back of the head.
Again, for that town, as long as the gun is there, you can just be like, well, that was it. Oh, that's the other part too. Was the autopsies that they were doing.
Yeah, dude. So Molly's sister, we know she gets shot. We get the details later in the film, but let's just go with that part, right? So the two guys take her out to the middle of the woods. She keeps on saying too, she's like, "You guys are gonna kill me." They get her drunk.
Yeah, Byron and Kelsey, and Anna is the sister's name. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like Anna. She's a smart girl. She knows what was going on, and she was just kind of just
she was
drinking.
drunk. Yeah.
Well, that's really all I think she could do is just go with the fire water and wake up for tomorrow. I think
Well, not.
but like that's what I think what she was doing is just like, all right, well, I'll just live hard right now because I don't know when I'm gonna happen. But yeah, you're right. Like she seemed like she knew it was coming, and she did.
She was like, "You guys are gonna kill me." They're like, "No, we're not. No, we're not." Now, was she being poisoned too?
No, I
So
don't
who was
think
poisoned? Was Molly the only one that was being poisoned?
that was with the insulin. Yeah, they had said before that there were a few other jobs were had done with the poisoning. Uh, Later on, when you had the Tom White, the FBI agent by Jesse Plemons, basically just finding the guy on the street, an old man in the street, and be like, "I'll tell you
That
all
was.
about it."
I'll tell you, I seen it.
Yeah, uh, where it was just basically just him saying that, yeah, we tested on a few dogs and would poison some of that, and then we started poisoning some other ones, but yeah, they switched it up just to kind of obviously throw in a bit of variety, so it
Mhm.
didn't seem too suspect. Because then otherwise nobody would drink.
Right. I'm never gonna say this again in a show, probably. So I just want to get this, just my feeling off of it. I know it's a movie, but one thing that I noticed, like we have seen people get shot in the head hundreds of times, thousands of times in movies, right? Right. And there's always not a realism to them. But as movies get more modern and technology, they make it more realistic. What disturbed me was I personally have never seen somebody get shot in the head and what happens to the body, but it's like every single person that got shot in the head in this movie just instantly goes limp and just falls like in these weird positions, you know? And for some reason that disturbed me. It was just like, oh, that's probably how it actually is, right? Because their brain's dead. I mean, they're done.
Ooh.
It's,
I
you know what I mean?
no, I get it. You never went into like those death websites or when internet
No,
was new, Faces
no,
of
I never
Death
did.
or anything like that.
No, the furthest I got was two girls, one cup.
Right, the cartel videos. Man, I tell you, I've
I have
see a
never
lot of it
seen.
that definitely desensitized me. I regret, but I don't. It's
Right. No, I'm like, is that how it is from the videos that you've seen then? Like, do you get shot in the head, you just go limp in this weird position and fall?
Yeah, and it depending on where you get shot too, the blood doesn't instantly pour. But it does react.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually
Yeah.
it does, but a lot of times, especially if it's close range, because the other thing is the noise. A lot of things that we see in movies, when you fire a gun, it's always muzzle flare, boom, boom,
Right.
in this and that.
Right.
No, in this one, it's just a little, it's a cock back and a pop,
Right.
and that's about it.
Right. No,
It's instant. So how they did Anna, just seeing that where it was just, I don't know, it just seems so casual for them, and then after they're just like, all right, well, we're done. Might as well just go back.
yeah, right. Just keeping it cash, right? Yeah, because Anna was in the little creek, but she's like, you guys are gonna kill me. She's drunk. He was, no, we're not, no, we're not. And then pow, she goes limp and falls. The only thing that I saw that we can move on that was a real execution online was remember that band Filter, and they made a song called "Hey Man, Nice Shot,"
Yeah.
where some from political guy shot himself in the mouth on live on TV.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the only
Bill
one I saw.
Buckner, right?
Yeah, he shot himself in blood pour. That's the only thing I ever saw. Um, that's a good song.
Yeah. A
But
little bit
yeah,
different.
no,
That
it's
guy had a big old gun, but yeah.
yeah. No, but anyway, so let's move on. I'm just saying that what I'm trying to say with all this is that I actually praise Scorsese for the realism because this movie does one thing very well, and it makes me want to take a shower. This movie is dirty, right? It just has this dirt and grime about it. The people are dirty people, metaphorically and is reality as well. One thing that I noticed, I don't know if you noticed either, was the buildup of the town and the community throughout the years, because the movie never says 1919 and 1922, right? It just keeps going.
It jumps.
And It jumps. So like one of the things I kind of like was their house, right? Ernest and Molly's house. When they first got together, there was this shack of a house, if you will, in the middle of open field. And then as the movie progresses, their house gets a porch and it becomes more modern. I'm assuming it's the same
They're
house.
in a neighborhood.
Right. And now it eventually expands to a neighborhood and they have streets and they have street lights, you know, and then the town, the actual main street's growing longer and longer and longer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I really enjoy this. This is a very smart idea. What directors would think of something like that? Or so my question was, that house that they were at originally when they were married, is that the same house when it's more of a modernized house, or did they move, or was everything being built around them? I know it's kind of silly, but I'm just questioning what you think. Like,
No, originally, and yes, the family was being slowly poisoned as well. But originally, it was her. She would go to her mother's house, and she was just staying there.
okay,
And so, hold on, let me find out the mother's name here. Um, Lizzie Q. So originally, that was the house that they would go to because that was the family house.
okay.
And I'm pretty sure that that's where they had stayed at. But then after the mom had died, and after a lot of the sisters had died, eventually they had moved out into their own place.
Okay, okay. So that wasn't the house that they expanded. Lizzie Q.
Unless they did live in that same house, and that was the house built up around them.
That's what
But
I thought
yeah,
because the town was building around him.
yeah, not too sure, but there was a lot of people in that house.
Yeah. Also, too, the kids get born and age of kids. Lizzie Q. So I'm going to assume that this was a fake owl, right? But she is Molly's mom, and she knows what's going on, right?
Yeah, and I'm pretty
Now,
sure that again she was being slowly poisoned too. At least that's what the synopsis is kind of alluding to or saying.
well, somebody made a comment in the movie, a character, I don't know if it was De Niro or some B character, said that Osage don't live past 60 or something like that.
Yeah, they don't live very long.
They don't live very long. So it's like, did she get poisoned? Did she die of the age of 60? I don't know, but she got whisked away,
They
you
get
know, from
wasting
the.
disease is what they called it.
Mm.
And yeah, it's basically just them slow poisoning.
So whatever this poison is. So everybody's involved, right? And eventually Ernest gets not doesn't get, but Ernest is duped to be like, dude, you gotta poison your wife, bud. He's like, all right, I will. I will poison my wife, right? And he starts doing it, man. And she's oof, that actress. I believe she was sick, sweating. She had the vomit. I don't know what you would call it, vomit bucket, I guess, always around her, sweating. Just oh, she looked miserable, right?
Well, it was even more. It's just because again she knows that she was being poisoned, and she I think assumed it was someone else trying to kill her, and she never
Not Ernest,
suspected
yeah.
the husband, and she even gave orders, right? Like go directly to the train. She thought it was the doctors at first.
Because those the doctors that was poisoning her.
She wasn't wrong.
Mm. Well, technically, no, she wasn't wrong. And then she was hallucinating, asking like, "Are you real?" You know, she's just done. And then she kind of has this hallucination with Ernest, and she's just like, "The man in the hat's coming. The man in the hat's coming." And there's a knock on the door, and my dude, what's his name that I like so much?
Jesse Plemons.
I like this guy. I like this guy a lot, and I'm smiling because I think he's going to continuing to have a good career. This dude is making smart choices. I first saw him in Breaking Bad. We reviewed him in El Camino. What did he do recently that we did?
Say the movie, Jordan. Say it.
I don't know.
Say that movie, Jordan.
Power
Don't
of
you
the Dog.
do not pretend like you don't know, Jordan.
Power of the Dog. You and I love that movie.
Jordan.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to review this movie, man. If you're not gonna
Why?
say it,
Oh,
Game night.
date night.
Is that
Is it
was that
date
finger
night?
meaning? Was that a number one that you put up there? Was that what that finger was?
Oh,
He's
I.
been
You
in
know
a
what?
lot of other movies. Yes,
You
he
know
was
what?
in like Black Mass. He was in Vice,
Yeah, he's in a lot, and I'm
Power of the
like,
Dog, like you said.
every time I see him, I like. Can I make one side comment real quick?
Of course.
Whenever we decide to retire from podcasting, right? These shows are going to be the internet probably forever, right?
Hmm.
I would love for listeners to like listen to our very, very first review and listen to every episode as we, go into retirement and just go on this journey of date night, game night, and just, that'd be like an Easter egg, every so often for them, because it'd be like a thing for
So we
them.
have very few running gags.
Yeah, so it's a little fun thing. The beer's hitting. So here comes this guy, FBI agent. What is his character's name?
Tom White,
White or White?
a hard H. It's Tom
Okay,
Tom White,
Tom
but
White. For finally, he's playing a good guy, right? And Tom's just like, dude, like, okay, so this is again, I guess my history's screwed up, but he said that he's a part of the Bureau of Investigation, and shoot, oh my God, Hoover, right? No, Hoover, no.
yeah, J. Edgar Hoover.
Yeah, Jake Hoover. He talked about that Hoover started this, right? So this was right before Depression time. Then
Yes.
this is right before it, and we have the FBI, and the FBI is here, and he's talking to Ernest.
At this point, it's just the BOI, the Bureau.
Oh, it's just okay. It's not the FBI.
Well, it later becomes that, but he
Right.
calls himself Bureau of Investigation.
Mm-hmm. He has tons of guys in suits, and they know what's going on. What happens was Molly takes like $20,000 or something, and goes and sees the president in Washington.
Calvin Coolidge.
Who is, you want to know about age? I looked it up because my grandfather's 97. That was his first president when he was a kid.
Woo!
And she talks to me. She's like, our people are being murdered. We need help. And eventually they bring the FBI in. And Ernest is guilty right off the bat, right? Because here's the FBI guy. He's like, hey, man, here to talk to your wife. He's like, oh, man, she's sick, man. She can't. No, man, you can't do that. He's just, what, can I talk to her? No, man, come Friday. He's like, all right, I'll come Friday. Like, BS on that, right? Like, right there,
Yeah,
you're right.
It really did not take these guys very long. You pop one, and then everything else fell pretty hard, like a house of cards there, right? These
Right.
guys were just willing. Like Blackie Thompson was the first one, and then I think after every time that one of the henchmen or the lackeys, whatever the hell, found out that they've been had by or one of the Burkharts or William Hale, they're just like, all right, I'll tell you everything, and I'm sure that when they told him everything, that it lined up with the other stories previous, and they had themselves a pretty easy case.
Pretty easy case, and then they get Ernest eventually, right? And
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah, they get Ernest eventually, and they make him stand. I find that little thing funny, right? They make him stand. They don't let him sit, and that's their interrogation on him.
Did you notice during that time too, and basically since the FBI or the Bureau had come, is that every time that he was lying, he would have flies around him.
Yeah, what was that? Was that just because Scorsese thought, or
You'd think maybe just because, the flies are attracted to BS.
nice? Okay, all right, very valid. Yeah. And this is where Ernest sings like a canary at this point, right? He says, this is happening. Oh, by the way, when this is happening, the FBI gets Molly and takes her to a hospital.
Yeah.
Because she's all messed up. Now, the FBI has also like a Native American with them too, right? That's kind of like playing both sides, if you will, right? It's kind of like double A, right? He's with them. They interrogate the doctors. The doctors won't give. Those guys are guilty, right? They're like, well, I don't recall.
It was them hacking up the body parts, I think, is when that really gave them away, because oh, you were trying to find the bullet. It's like, yep, and we couldn't find it. It's like, well, she was shot in the head, right? It's like, yep. So you didn't find it? Nope, didn't find it. So, well, then why'd you hack up the rest of the body?
Yeah, like why did you literally cut off the limbs trying to find the bullet?
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of those things that were very incriminating, and again, it's one of those where you want that justice to happen, but
Hmm.
you
The
kind of know the
magic bullet
reality of it.
theory, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
bullet went this way, then it went that way, and we thought it was in her leg. Uh, I
We
mean,
didn't know where
jeez.
that bullet was. Yep.
That bullet just whims and wazzled. Don't worry, in 1963 it'll happen again. Um, I just God, these guys, man, like these guys think they're just untouchable, right? So the FBI makes Ernest make a deal, right? Hey, you confess, and we will protect you, and we will not charge you, right? Now
I think
later,
it was the daughter dying that really set
that was
Ernest
her.
off.
Was that okay? Okay, hey! I got to ask you this, right? I'm sorry. Those are always hard scenes for me to watch when a little girl dies. Since you're a dad of a little girl now, is that hard or is it not hard for you yet?
It's about the same. I understand that a lot of people are like, "Oh, being a parent now." It's like, what are you talking about? It was hard before. I, I'm also a brother of two younger sisters too. So you see that, and it's gonna be tragic no matter what. Me being
Sure.
a dad now, it doesn't make it any more or less tragic because it's always the same level of severity. It's always
Right.
the same tragic kind of thing where it's just like, but I'm also able to, and again, maybe this is just because of the desensitizing through everything else, separate a lot of the art from real life. So I know that watching it, it's very hard and tragic, but the same part, like we just watched like 30 other Indians get murdered and nothing
Sure.
happening to them too. Whereas this little
Right.
girl died because of a whooping cough, and it was probably because she didn't get the proper treatment from them damn doctors. You probably just
No, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm no, because didn't Molly's cousins or somebody took the baby to like help them?
something like that, but
Yeah, they took the
I'm sure
baby to
there's more
help.
detail about it somewhere. But you know how they had made comments about those kids before, right? About the looks like an eclipse, if you remember that. One's dark and one's white.
Right.
Yeah,
That's actually a good scene too, right? When they're around the dinner table, middle of the movie, and Ernest and Molly are like, "Hey, we're pregnant again for number three," and like Robert De Niro's just looking at him like, "You can read his face, you stupid son of a gun. We got to kill another one." Like stop doing it. And then Ernest is hilarious. Well, I just do what a husband does with his wife.
yeah, yeah. He likes them. I
Yeah. I
like
just, I just, I just do what
I
I
like them red, white, or blue.
I love that. That's such a I don't see color. I just like them.
I like the plump ones.
I like the PAWG ones.
Yeah, but De Niro has the very De Niro look on his face.
No, yeah, his face was just like so mad. He was just like, "I have nipples, Greg. Can you milk me?" Face. Like he was just like, "Are you serious, dude? You just do this again?" Yeah, but the daughter dies of whooping cough. She's
I'll tell you.
and
I'll tell you what. To go back onto that, the having a kid or seeing it on screen, I think again, still it is. I'm not doing any more tears than I already was, but there was a scene. I'll tell you where that pissed me off was the moonshiner Kelsey,
Mhm.
one of the guys who killed Anna, when there was a scene where he was talking about he went to the bank guy or the insurance guy and he was talking about like, all right, so my wife just died kind of thing. Now, if my kids were to die, I would inherit everything, yes.
And the banker was like, "You do realize that you're asking me
This implicates
to."
me and all this stuff too. That bothers me. That
Yeah, that Aaron.
that would I think bother me more, the conspiracy to or the act of thinking of killing a child or to that rather than actually like seeing the body on screen.
Sure, that's a good point. Yeah. Also, I also like how Robert De Niro starts getting rid of all the people, kind of like the Goodfellas moment, right? Where all the main players that we've seen throughout the whole movie start getting killed. Where it's like Robert De Niro says to the shop owner, "Hey, tonight at 11 o'clock, two guys and a third guy are going to come and they're going to try to break in. Just so you know." And they do, and shotgun to the chest.
That's a
Like
good move by King, by the way, too.
that's a very good move. That's a
The
very,
to
very good
to seal up all the loose ends by giving them loaded jobs there to get them killed.
Yeah. Hey man, I heard this job, this store at 11.
Hey,
Shut.
can't ask a dead man.
No. So, excuse me. So now this is where Molly's on her last limb, right? And the FBI saves the day. They save her. They get her back to her fighting self. And Ernest is promised immunity as long as he testifies. Now we're going to trial. Now we're another movie again. And Brendan Fraser is Robert De Niro's lawyer.
And the
That was
prosecutor is
did you
John
know
Lithgow.
John Lithgow. Like, did you know these two guys were in the movie?
No, there was a lot of kind of surprise faces. In fact, I saw the guy who played Foggy Nelson in the background here in a not speaking role. I was like, is that Foggy Nelson? The guy who plays Fulton from Mighty Ducks. Oh man, hold on.
Fulton.
Hold on. Let me get Foggy Nelson, not Jon Favreau. Eldon Henson is the guy's name. Yeah,
Fulton. That's the part of the Bash Brothers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the Daredevil Netflix series, he plays Matt Murdock's best friend, Foggy Nelson.
He would.
He was also in Butterfly Effect, if you remember that.
The Butterfly Effect, the movie that I watched every day for a year because it came out right when I was 17. When it, and
Oh, well then you should certainly know who he is, right?
yeah, I know exactly who it is.
All right then.
Yeah. No. You like that statement? Oh, the Butterfly Effect that I watched every day for a year because I was 17. The movie was perfect for a 17-year-old boy in 2003. Come on.
Hey, everyone had their own pick, Obviously, a lot of, I don't know. My sister picked 13. I don't know why the hell you'd watch that movie. And then, hey, at least you were one of those Donnie Darko kids, right?
I mean, like I was. Can I say since you brought that
Were
up?
you a Donnie Darko kid?
No, I wasn't. So, since you
Give me
brought
all
that
the
up,
gusto you can muster.
segue. Not a segue, but like a off the thing. God, Jude, I was like 17, 18 years old. Like it was senior year of high school. Went to a party, a strange house party. Don't know who the people are, but I was with a friend. And in the basement, everybody was hanging out watching this movie, and it was Donnie Darko, right? But it was the scene where I walked down the basement, where it was the bunny on the golf course.
Yep.
And I was like, what's this? I didn't see it till 3 years later in college. But anyway. So Ernest then we also find out that Ernest is a part of the Masons, or he's not a part of the Masons. People call him brother, but Robert De Niro is part of the Masons. I got to talk to Ed, see if this is how they do things, see if they spank you. And
of course they do.
And Brendan Fraser's like, now listen here, Ernest. You're dumb. What are you doing? You gotta change your story and said the FBI beat you, and and they made you do these things. It's like, God, this is why I still say that Ernest is dim-witted. Like the FBI gave him, like, we're not going to charge you.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why is he doing this? Is it because my only conclusion is because he's dim-witted.
Well, I think the guilt caught up to him. Even though that he's just like, well, the government gave me a good plea deal. King or Hale still knows that, like, you actually believe that? Like, they're not gonna give you anything, boy. They're gonna tell you whatever the hell they need to, so they can, whatever they can get out of you. So just don't do that. F the police. Stick with your story. Stick with us, because if you stick with us, then in this story, they have nothing else to say otherwise. And he's right, 100%.
Really, you think that? I don't know, man. The FBI didn't seem like they were going to screw. I don't know, man. They seem like they were going to work with Ernest here.
Listen, but they keep on alluding over and over to the point that because these are white men, that basically it's their word versus any evidence that they had. Here's another part too. When Jesse Plemons, when Tom White came and was talking with the Osage doing the tribal councils, or if you want to call it, they called him out. They're just like, are you here because we had sent and paid, or are you here because you found a dead white man from our county in on your steps. And like that's a huge point right there because yeah, of course. I got the feeling that that's probably what it was because when Molly went to go to Calvin Coolidge and say, "Oh yeah, people are dying," he we only saw the back of his head. We didn't even see.
Valid.
He just went okay, and then just walked on. Just like well, that sucks for you. All right, well, hope you get that figured out, and then just walked away. So yeah, I really do think. And then I'll tell you what even validates that even more. And this is the horrible part of it. Uh, Hearing how all these guys got out of jail. All of them have life sentences, and then they all get out of jail like what 5, 10 years later for good behavior.
Yeah, let's talk about the ending, right? So, Ernest's daughter dies of whooping cough, and he's able to go to the funeral. They don't do that stuff nowadays, right? Times have changed a little bit. But they go to he goes to the
Depending on the
funeral.
circumstance, I believe that they allow some sort of leave. But again, it's not going to be. They're going
It's
to let a
different.
serial killer out for a day.
Yeah, no, they're not going to let Gacy go out. But
No, they'll let the governor's son go out for a birthday party or something. I'm sure.
right, and there's a clown there, Casey. So, but after this scene though, right? This is where we get Molly confronting Ernest, and she gets her confirmation without him saying anything. Did you know that you were poisoning me? And he went, nah, I don't want nah. Right?
It was the way that
knew.
she asked it. I think this
Yeah.
is her Oscar moment, to be honest.
Really, you think so?
The way that she just has that look on her face, and he's just like, I'm clean. I've told everything, all the truth that I can tell, kind of a thing. And she just has that look where she like almost sees through him, sees this new person, this person who's not her husband anymore. She sees Ernest. She asks, "What else did you give me? What were you giving me?" As if to say, "Here's your moment. I'm giving you this moment right now. If you truly wanted to absolve yourself and come clean and do everything, here is your moment." And Ernest can barely even look at her and still chooses the lie to
And say it was insulin.
yeah. I think it's because that guilt is too much, but he also knows that he does love this woman. You're right that and he knows that if he were to say it, it would destroy maybe any fabric that of that he would have left. It's the one thing that he has.
I don't think he loves her anymore. Like I truly feel that, and again, everybody sees it differently, but I feel that he loved her. He truly did love her until the day he decided, or the movie showed us that he was giving her the poison with the insulin. Because you would not do that. Then you got then you got a whole other situation. What's that famous girl right now that everybody's talking about? Whose mom?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Right. Daisy, not Daisy, but something like that. You know what I mean? Like that's what's going on at that, right? Munchausen syndrome. Yeah. So that's what that is. Maybe it's not that, but it's the same ballpark. You agree with me?
Now I gotta look it up because you're making me.
Right.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Just hold on. I'm gonna give you a Gypsy. Gypsy Blanchard.
Yeah, and she's out. She had a life sentence, and she was out.
Yeah, but
so but I mean, like the reason why I brought up Gypsy was just because of I believe he loved her. I truly believe the character loved her. But then as soon as he gave her that first shot of poison, he was like, "No." I mean, like at that point, I don't think he loved her. And if he truly did, as the movie continued on, he would have told her right in her face, "Yes, I did what my uncle said, and I poisoned you."
Yeah, you know what?
I mean, like you poisoned your wife, dude.
Yeah, you're right. But there might be a part where he felt like, I'm too deep into this. Maybe right after Bill and Rita got blown up.
That was a crazy scene, right? They go to bed and all of a sudden the windows blow out, of the house, and it's like and then like Bill is screaming, "Shoot me, because he's all blown up. And then they pick up Rita and her back of her head's blown out. Like
I'm glad they kept a lot of that detail and those gruesome parts in there because it just adds to kind of how angry you get really watching it.
Yeah, no. So you were saying, so let's go with it. The ending of it and what happened in real life is Robert De Niro's character gets a life sentence but he gets out in less than 10 years for good behavior, and he dies in the 60s. This one shocked me. Ernest gets out in 5, 10 years for good behavior, and he goes back to the city, and he lives in a trailer park with his brother, and he dies in 1986.
So actually, if you read his story, he gets out and then he goes back because he robbed his sister-in-law's house with another woman that he was with, I think. And so he basically just keeps his life of crime going. And
He's
then,
just a jerk.
yeah, and then eventually, yes, he lives in a rat-infested trailer with his brother and eventually dies. Apparently, as I was reading his bio, he had requested to be cremated and spread over the Osage village. And according to his son, he said that he just dumped it over a bridge.
His son, he
Cowboy.
dumped it. He just dumped it over a bridge. His
Yeah,
ashes.
yeah. Obviously, the son completely not respecting the wishes at all, and just dumped it. Yeah,
This guy lasted till he was 94 years old. Can you believe that?
yeah.
With the amount of
That's
drinking and smoking and stuff that he was doing,
hey, they built him tough back then.
that guy saw some stuff.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because these crimes were all before 1930.
Yeah, that's so you're up and down there too. Yeah,
Right. So it's just like you got 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 80s. Gee, that's a long time. Molly, unfortunately, marries somebody else and she dies at the age of 50s because of diabetes.
yeah, yeah.
Right. That's a sad story. But and then the doctors who helped with this poison insulin were never even tried. They were
No
nothing. Nothing
conviction.
happened. No conviction. Nothing. Like another thing that pissed me off too was the sheriff in town. The sheriff in town, right? Nothing happened to that guy. Like, I mean, pretty much all the Osage got was 10 years for De Niro and Caprio, and that
Well,
was it.
even Byron, the older brother, didn't really get a whole lot because he didn't do. He was just kind of there helping. He didn't do the actual act, and so they didn't give
Mhm.
him, anything of a hard sentence.
Yeah, it's sad, right? It's sad to think about, and you hope nowadays stuff like this don't happen, right? But it's like, my God, like,
Well, this level of blatant genocide at this point, right? It's not even just racism. Like they're actually going after them, and then to completely just to have any disregard for the life of these people, and then to have the people who are supposed to be in charge to be like, oh well, that sucks. Well, how much money? Oh yeah, and then we get to see in this movie how there's such thing as Osage prices, where they're just gouging these guys for
mhm.
everything that they're worth.
Yeah, it's sad. It's a sad story about it. I
Charging me
mean,
Osage prices?
I just it was interesting. How about this? I'm glad I saw it, but this is where we get into our popcorn ratings, right?
Yeah.
I am torn between a medium and a large, right? Um, and I always like having a conversation with you before I give my rating because it's like maybe you can persuade me one way or the other. You have it this time. I don't know what to give this, right? Because the Oscars are telling me that this is a movie guy's large bag. But am I gonna go back and watch this again? Like, am I gonna watch scenes on YouTube? Do I think this is a legitimately a good movie that I enjoy? And I don't know what to give it. Are you struggling with yourself on that?
Yeah, like there's a lot of pros and there's fewer cons in this one. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I think I'm leaning more towards large just because of the visual town. Like it was gorgeous. Like the scenery was vast. It was huge. It was grand. It just looked really, really good. Everything about that just I felt like I was there. That runtime obviously is a hard thing to look at, but at the same part, I sat and I got immersed into the world, man. I really did. It was a tough watch. It's depressing to watch. I'm not probably gonna watch it again anytime soon, just like you said. Um, and it's yeah, it's one of those where this movie could have, you could have cut out an easy
Yeah.
hour, easy 90 minutes from this movie, and you could have had the same story. But
Yeah.
again, that added effect is going to increase the emotion. This movie was beautiful, man. It really was. I think they had a lot of subtleties in here. I like the way the mom died, Lizzie Q. The way that she was just kind of laying outside, and it all of a sudden was quiet. Then she woke up, and I'm assuming her parents were there, and in an Osage soldier with his hand out extended, kind of guiding her to
Yeah.
the next. That was beautiful. I liked how their symbol of death was the owl.
Hmm.
That if you saw the owl, it was, kind of a visualization of death. And then because Hale looked like an owl, he had it with those eyes, he had it with the glasses on, and
That's on purpose, you think, huh?
yeah, well, because Molly had that vision. Remember, she saw the owl, and then she said, "Are you real?" And the part when Hale saw her, visited her on the bedside. I think that, yeah, he is an
He's deaf.
owl.
He's
Yeah,
the
he
Grim
is the owl
Reaper. Yeah.
manifested. He is death.
That's
So
a very interesting point.
there's that maybe the only reason why I would rewatch this movie is just to kind of pick up on those things. But visually, I thought it was just a very impressive movie. On a technical part, it was a fantastic movie. For that, I give it a large, and I really hope that Lily Gladstone wins for this. I think that she should win for this. Um, I don't know who I need to. I haven't seen many of the other movies that were nominated, but she's already won the Golden Globe.
Oh, she has.
Yes. So usually, if you win the Golden Globe, usually a strong running that you're going to win the Oscar. But we'll
I don't
see.
know.
Um,
Some
yeah,
people are pissed that Margot Robbie's not nominated.
that's in its own thing, and that's on its own episode. We can get to that. But
Right. Right.
yeah, I can see why, like a medium with some butter would be the way to go on this, just
Hmm.
because, yeah, that there is that those glaring parts in our cons list that could kind of go up there. Um, but I think for the most part, I think this was a good movie to watch.
Yeah, you know what? Yes, let's go with that, right? So our first collective large for 2024, so this would be nominated for our Movie Guys Awards, right? I mean, you and I both are going to give this a large. Like everything you say, I totally agree with. The movie is beautiful. Of course, I'm a little bit ridiculous when it comes to my memory, but I would say the last movie that I saw that was a Western, if you will, that was as beautiful will be There Will Be Blood and Power of the Dog, like those two.
Those are good.
Um, right, and it's funny is that Jordan don't like westerns, but I think Jordan likes westerns. You know what I mean? Like I just
I like
I
a
for
western,
some
man. Look, the older we're both.
yeah
Come on,
we're
we're both white guys. The older we get, the more we're gonna like western and war movies.
yeah for some reason the good and the bad and the ugly sounds pretty good right now. I just
But
something's happening.
it's also a good story. You know what? So the book was written by David Gran,
Hmm.
and I think we're gonna see a few more of his books adaptations going into movies. He did another book that was turned into a movie, The Lost City of Zed, Lost City of Z.
Why why do I know that? Yeah, I know that. Why do I know that?
Charlie Hunnam, Robert Pattinson, Tom
Oh,
Holland,
okay.
yeah, who were all in that about them mapping parts of South America in the rainforest
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
for
yeah,
for
yeah.
rubber tree for rubber plants and something like that. And then yeah, the Lost City. I thought that movie was fantastic.
Yes, there's
Um,
gonna be some this so he's the new generation's Michael Crichton, if you will.
well, he writes these are all nonfiction
Oh, okay.
because that book is based on uh off of Captain Percy Fawcett. So
Hmm.
that's a real story. So as is this one.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, overall, this movie is good. Um, I think both. I think it's deserving of a large. We'll see how the rest of the year goes. Right? Maybe something's going to beat it. But right now, yeah, it's a large.
It's
Check it out.
top running.
Yeah. If you guys have Apple TV Plus, that's where you can watch it right now. I'm sure it'll be on other platforms eventually. But anyway, we've gone on long enough with this review of Killers of the Flower Moon. So, Eric, thank you so much for joining me. And make sure to check us out on Movie Guys Podcast at podbean.com or wherever you get your podcasts from when you're on. And like every Thursday, we'll be back for another episode. I can't talk. Eric, have a good night. Andre 3000 has come up with a new album, and he doesn't even say a word.
Correct. Yeah.
So that Key and Peele sketch is correct from 10 years ago.
Oh yeah. No, it's definitely.
Oh my! He's a far away from Stankonia, isn't he, buddy? Whew.
Yeah, I guess he had just been rolling through Japan playing weddings on this with his flute.
What? You're screwed. Andre 3000 has traveled around Japan playing weddings with his flute.
Not only exclusively weddings, but maybe one or two. He said in an NPR interview that he just was roaming. He just had that Stankonia money, the AT Aliens dough, and just went on his own.
You forgot about the third one, right?
To get it.
The speaker box and Love Below, he got that money too, right?
That is a record-breaking album.
Oh, good God. It is. I mean, one would argue that Love Below and Speaker Box is better than Stankonia, one would say.
I'd say it's pretty up there. It's pretty close. Oh yeah, Roses is really good.
Oh, yeah, they smell like poo-poo. Wow.